Martell Holt and Arionne Curry have once again become the center of conversation, and this time the talk is even louder than before. A lot of fans are convinced that Martell and Arionne are officially engaged. What makes this even more shocking is that the speculation didn't just come from rumors floating around online, but straight from what was said on the show itself. In the latest episode, Martell and Maro had a sit-down to address all the tension between them, and during that heated exchange, the word fiancé came up more than once. The way it was used, the context it was said in, and Martell's reaction have fans buzzing and questioning if Martell has finally made things official with Arionne after years of drama, controversy, and public fallout. When Martell and Maro started their conversation, it quickly turned into a back and forth about loyalty, respect, and boundaries. Maro made it very clear that he did not want to be mentioned in Martell's interviews anymore. What stood out to many fans was the fact that Maro never denied what Martell was saying about the interview. Instead of correcting him or calling it untrue, Maro's response was simply, "Don't speak on me." That silence on denial raised red flags for people watching because it seemed like Maro was indirectly confirming that what Martell said was accurate. But what grabbed everyone's attention even more was when Maro told Martell, "Tell your fiancé not to mention me." That one sentence shifted the entire conversation. For Maro to call Arionne Martell's fiancé, it means there is more going on behind the scenes than what fans were led to believe. Martell didn't correct him either. He didn't say, "She's not my fiancé." Instead, he brushed it off and responded in a way that almost confirmed that Arionne holds that title in his life. He claimed that she wasn't speaking on Maro, and he even went further to say that she was Team Holt, suggesting that she is now being publicly recognized as a part of his family circle. For years, fans have seen Arionne referred to as the mistress, the side chick, or the woman who played a role in Martell's marriage falling apart. Now, the shift in language from mistress to fiancé is huge. It signals a possible new chapter that many people never thought they would see. This moment also highlighted a very clear pattern in Martell's behavior. Whenever he is called out for his mistakes or has to face the consequences of his actions, he often tries to reset the situation by acting like he wants to change. We've seen this over and over again. He apologizes, he admits his wrongs, but then before long, he goes back to repeating the same behaviors. Maro even reminded him of that by pointing out how Martell always says sorry but doesn't truly change his ways. That was something Martell's ex-wife Melody also told him many times throughout their marriage. Now here we are, years later, and it seems the cycle is repeating itself, only with Arionne. At the center. What's even more telling is that when Maro pushed Martell to have a conversation with his fiancée about leaving him and Tisha alone, Martell didn't disagree. Instead, he said that the only way it would work is if Maro also had that same conversation with his own wife. It was almost like Martell was openly acknowledging that yes, Arionne is his fiancée, and yes, she has been speaking on Maro and Tisha in ways that have fueled the drama. His solution was that both sides should stop mentioning each other altogether. By the end of their talk, both men agreed to some kind of ceasefire. They promised that they wouldn't speak negatively about each other, and Martell even said he wanted peace as long as everyone else wanted peace. But watching their body language and hearing their tone, it was clear that neither man really believed this truce would last long. They have had this exact same conversation so many times before, and it always ends the same way. More arguments, more interviews, and more shade being thrown back and forth. Still, the key takeaway for most fans wasn't the temporary truce. It was the repeated use of the word fiancé when talking about Arionne. This has led to an even bigger discussion among viewers about whether the show is preparing to bring Arionne onto the main cast. For years, she has been the unseen character who drives many of the storylines but never appears on screen. Her name comes up in arguments, her relationship with Martell is constantly talked about, and the ripple effect of her presence is always felt. Now, with Maro and Martell openly calling her fiancé, fans feel like the producers may be doing a soft launch to ease her into the storyline before officially bringing her on the show. Social media exploded with commentary after this episode. Many people commented under clips and posts saying that it feels like the show is slowly preparing the audience for Arionne to step in. Some believe it's long overdue because she's been such a big part of the drama behind the scenes. Others think it's a terrible idea because her involvement was the root of so much pain and division in the first place. No matter what side people fall on, the fact remains that her name is being mentioned more frequently and more seriously than before. Adding to the conversation was Tisha Scott, who went live after the episode aired to share her thoughts. She made it clear that she felt Maro handled himself well during his conversation with Martell. She pointed out that when you have had the same conversation with someone hundreds of times and they keep repeating the same behaviors, at some point you stop taking their words seriously. Instead, you judge them by their actions. Tisha was very straightforward in saying that Martell has disrespected them too many times before for her to believe that anything has truly changed. She even said that she is not interested in maintaining any type of friendship with him, and she hopes Maro feels the same way. For her, it's simply about keeping things polite but distant, hello, goodbye, and that's it. Tisha also reminded her viewers of something very important: when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. That's a famous quote that she applied directly to this situation with Martell. She knows from experience that his patterns are unlikely to change, and she has no desire to keep being caught in that cycle. Her stance was very firm, and she even emphasized that she's good without the friendship and doesn't want to keep reopening the same wounds. Her live also gave fans a peek into how the rest of the cast feels about the drama. Even though she didn't mention Arionne directly as much, the underlying message was clear. She doesn't want Martell or anyone connected to him continuing to stir things up with her and Maro. That includes Arionne, who has been known to throw shots online in the past. By drawing that boundary, Tisha made it clear that she wants peace, but she isn't willing to pretend like things are fine when they are not. At the same time, Tisha also gave fans a lighter update about her own life. She celebrated her 19th wedding anniversary with Maro, and she shared how much fun they had with other couples, including Kimmy and Maurice, who also celebrated their anniversary around the same time. She talked about enjoying the trip, celebrating love, and cherishing the time together. But what stood out was how she used that moment to contrast it with the negativity that Martell tends to bring. It was almost her way of saying, this is what real partnership looks like, and I don't need to be dragged into mess to prove anything. Now, going back to Martell and Arionne, this possible engagement is something that raises a lot of questions. If they are engaged, does that mean Arionne will finally step into the public spotlight in a bigger way? For years, she has been very vocal on social media but has stayed away from the cameras of the show. That distance gave her an almost mysterious presence. Everyone knows her name, but not many have actually seen her as part of the main story. If she joins the cast as Martell's fiancée, it would change the entire dynamic of the group. For one, it would force Melody to have to navigate even more uncomfortable spaces. Even though she has moved on, Arionne was directly connected to the end of her marriage, and having her appear as Martell's new partner would undoubtedly create tension. The other cast members would also have to figure out how to interact with Arionne. Would they accept her into the circle, or would they reject her presence completely? Fans are already divided on whether they want to see her, but there is no denying that her arrival would bring ratings and keep people talking. Another layer to this is how Martell himself would handle having Arionne on the show. For years, he has tried to manage the narrative around their relationship. Sometimes he has downplayed it, other times he has spoken about wanting to do right by her, and now with the word fiancé being thrown around, it seems like he may finally be ready to fully embrace their relationship publicly. But the question remains. Does Martell truly want to change, or is this another example of him repeating old patterns under a new title? Fans have pointed out that Martell often says he wants peace, but then does something to stir things up again. He will apologize, promise to move forward, and then turn around and give an interview or make a comment that reopens old wounds. If he is engaged to Arionne, she may become part of that cycle too, especially if she feels the need to defend herself or Martell against criticism from the other cast members. That could lead to even more drama than before, not less. Still, the idea of Martell and Arionne being officially engaged is something that many people thought would never happen. Their relationship has been filled with ups and downs, public arguments, and years of back-and-forth tension. For them to reach this point suggests that Martell is choosing to stand by her fully, despite all the controversy. It is a bold move, and it will have lasting effects on not only their personal lives but also the dynamic of the show itself. As fans continue to react, one thing is certain, this engagement news has shaken the conversation in a major way. Whether people support it or not, they are all talking about it. And in reality television, conversation is everything. The more people talk, the more interest the show gets. If the producers truly are planning to bring Arionne onto the show, this engagement storyline may be the perfect way to introduce her officially, but only time will tell if Martell and Arionne actually walk down the aisle or if this is just another chapter in their long, complicated story. For now, fans will be watching closely, paying attention to every word, every appearance, and every clue about what's coming next.